Hey everybody, welcome back to Mini Bike Mike's Garage. So I'm still working on this bike that I got up in Michigan, this K1 that I've got a couple videos on it. I'll try and remember to put a link to those videos in the description of this one. But if you've been following along, you can kind of tell I jumped ahead a little bit. I've finished the handlebars, put the fenders back on it, headlight. I've got an engine bolted into it. I've just got the tail light mounted on. I don't have any of the electrical really hooked up. It's still all just hanging here. I do have the electrical for the engine, and I would like to see if it's going to fire up, make sure it's good before I progress too much farther. So I thought, you know, I'll bring you guys along for that, for the engine startup. But it's been a fun bike to work on. It's been quite the challenge. If you've watched any of the videos, saw it fall off the table and do all those things. But it's pretty rewarding to see it all come together and kind of be a decent looking bike. I don't know. Hopefully it'll be a nice little rider. I'm just kind of finishing up the fuel line here. All right. You know what? I think because this is the original tank and I've not run anything through it, I think before I hook this line to the carb, let's put some fuel in it. Put some fuel in it and maybe run some through just in case there's any crap in the bottom of the tank. I'm using a Nibbi 22mm carb, same carb that I use on a lot of my builds. That carb only has one inlet for a fuel line. So what I typically do is I plug off the, I guess what I would call the regular line on the tank. I plug that off and I just run one line from the reserve outlet on the tank to the carburetor. And so I also wanted to make sure that where I've plugged that line off that we don't have any leaks or drips or anything. I'm not seeing anything. I think we must be good. All right, let's turn this on. Okay, not a lot, just enough to make sure if there was any kind of junk sitting in the bottom of the tank. I may have to shorten these lines later. All right, let's let that fill for a second. I think I've got everything hooked up to allow the engine to run. The exhaust is just kind of somewhat bolted on there. I don't even have a gasket. Okay, that'll be enough. If the bowl's either full or it's not. All right, first start for this engine. Let's see what happens. It's got so much compression in my battery. There it goes. My battery's not. Well, we're going to have to back up, punt, and maybe put a Kickstarter on it. Because I don't, let me go get another battery and we'll try it one more time with a new battery. We may have to pull the plug and check for a fouled plug. The shipping box that this engine came in was all upside down, and so we may have oil up in the top of the cylinder there that's fouling off the plug. Oh, come on. Nope, wrong way. Oh, guys, you know what? I gotta turn the key on. Duh. It ain't gonna start without turning the key on. Works a whole lot better when you turn the key on. All right, let's turn the idle up just a little bit. About the idle adjustments, really the only thing I've ever really touched on these Nibbis. I just use the jets that come in the carb. I did check oil, make sure there's oil in it. It does have oil in it. It's still a shipping oil. We'll change that here in a little bit. Awesome. All right, so I've got a little work to do. I need to tie the spark plug wire over. I usually tie it over to the bolt that's on the intake there to hold it away from the exhaust. I need to take the exhaust off and get the shield on, or make sure that the shield's, the guard, engine guard, is going to fit with the exhaust. I haven't touched the rims or tires yet to try and clean those up, so we'll let this video continue as we work on some of that and get everything all put together. I'm going to stop and jump in here real quick. I'll focus on that. Look at that. I don't think that speedometer gear had ever been out of there. Those tabs are perfectly straight, just the way they should be. I don't know that that front tire has ever been off of there. Guys, we're going to have a roller here in just a minute. All right, everybody, I have to apologize. I have sped through this bike and didn't show nearly as much content as I really wanted to. You know, the old saying, you know, best laid plans. I mentioned in a earlier video on this bike, the last video I think I posted, about how I had plans of riding this bike 145, 150 miles to kind of northeastern Indiana to a mini bike swap meet. I was going to ride it up there, sell it, buy another bike, ride home. Well, that ain't happening. I had two things on my schedule for this summer. I had that particular event, and then I've got a couple videos a while back where I rebuilt a couple bikes. My son, a couple of his buddies, and myself are going to ride bikes around Lake Michigan. We're actually going to Muskegon. There's a ferry that goes from Muskegon, Michigan, across Lake Michigan to Milwaukee. So we're going to trailer the bikes or haul the bikes to Muskegon, where we will dump the truck, leave it parked, and then we will jump on the ferry with the bikes, go over to Milwaukee, and from that point we start our adventure and drive up around upper loop of Michigan, upper peninsula of Michigan, and around back to, from Milwaukee back to Muskegon. And it's 750, almost 800 miles. That was the two things I wanted to do this summer, that and go to the swap meet. Well, it just, you know, the way things work out, the best time for all of us to make the trip around Lake Michigan was the same time frame that I was going to ride this bike to Portland. So I would rather ride with the boys and have a good time with you guys, Jake, Isaac, Brock. I can't wait to do that. We're going to have a tremendous time. I'd rather do that than ride this up to Portland. I don't want to miss out. So anyway, game plans changed on this. Toward the end of the video, I'll update you on what we're going to do. But I pretty much got it done. I was just, so in the last few days, I've just been jamming, trying to get it done so I can get it off the table, because I need to get 2 more bikes ready to ride, to go around that Michigan ride. And that's, we're doing that on June 26th or something, 26th, 27th, 28th. And it's May 30th right now, 2024. So I've got, 4 weeks to get that right, which is no really big deal, but I want to get them done so we can put some miles on them, make sure they're going to run all right, and do some shakedown. But anyway, so today I've kind of jammed through this thing, get it done. What I'm down to is just finishing up some electrical, I believe, and then we can take this out and do a test drive. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to test these bulbs. As if you guys are sharp eyes can tell, this is not a CT70 speedometer. I can't pay $200, $250 for a stupid speedometer for one of these, but I can pay 25 bucks off of eBay and get a speedometer that's off of something random that I have no clue what it was off of. It's a little bit bigger diameter, but I think it will work. I had to make a different bracket for it to fit, so... But I want to, since it came with all the wiring for the bulbs and everything, I'm going to try and get the indicators that are in it to work. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know if these bulbs are any good. That one definitely looks like it's burnt out. And I don't know if they're 12 or 6 volts, since I don't know what this speedometer came off of. I'm going to go ahead and just start fresh with some 1445 12-volt bulbs. I hope they fit in this holder. Yep, they will. And these are 12-volt bulbs. I've put a 12-volt engine on this bike. We're switching all the bulbs to 12-volt. Okay, so it looks like we have, that's got a green and red wire, so that's going to be a neutral indicator. This has got a brown and green, so that's going to be speedometer illumination, and that has the blue, so this is going to be a high beam indicator over here. Let's hook some power to these and see what happens. Make sure they're going to work. There's that one. So that is the speedometer illumination. Okay. All right. This one should be the neutral indicator. If I can, I need a. Give me a second. I need a little screwdriver of some sort. I need something to stick in there. Okay, so that lit up. Hopefully you can see that. So that's the neutral light works. Okay. Now I forgot which ground went to what. Oh, there it is. Okay, so there's our high beam indicator. Come on. There's high beam indicator. Okay, so that's those two. These should be the speedometer indicator. So all right, so everything works. All right, let's get that put in the speedometer, and then we'll put the actually we'll probably put the cable on before we plug all these in the speedometer. Got the speedometer cable hooked down at the tire. Oh, there we go. Probably rolled you guys right out of the view, didn't I? The speedometer goes to 80 mile an hour. This is only a 110 engine. I don't think we're going to push anywhere close to that 80 mile an hour limit. Okay, what have I got going on here? All right, so I need to put these back up in there. All right, what did I have? High beam. Yeah, so they go like this. So this one went there, there, in there. All right. Now we can try and feed all of this into the headlight. All right. This is the wiring harness from the bike. The TB515 from Trail Buddy. All right, what else are we missing? Oh, we're missing the horn button and then the wires for the front brake switch. I don't like that wire. Let's move it over here. All right, let's see if we can make heads or tails of all this mess now. All right, well, let's see what we can figure out here. One thing we didn't do, I almost forgot again. If you've watched any of my videos, wouldn't be the first time. I need to check and see if this headlight has a 6 or 12 volt bulb in it. This is a TB Parts headlight with a replaceable bulb. And that says 6 volts. So we would have blown that, dude. As soon as it fired, we would have blown that. So we're going to put a 12 volt version of the same bulb. This is a Stanley. It's an A3603. Now we're good. Hopefully that'll keep us from blowing anything. Now let's see if we can get this crammed in here enough to get this headlight on. And then there is a screw that goes in the bottom here. It's the bucket, or the headlight ring, has a hook that hooks onto the bucket. Oh, don't tell me I'm off on my... I must not have it quite in the right spot. Let's try that. There we go. So the ring has a hook that hooks underneath the headlight, and then it's got this screw down here, and that pretty much what holds everything in place. Oh my, are we done? Tail light's all plugged in. I think maybe we have it. Let's get it down off the table, see what happens. Horn doesn't work. I knew that horn was kind of iffy. Bummer. I hooked up the kill switch here on the button here on the throttle that I put on, so that kill switch works. this and see if the brake lights work. Oh yeah. Hold on, let's try the foot. Foot brake. Awesome. Yep. Both levers and foot brake. Let's see, let's try the high-low. That says it's in low. Neutral light's working. The high beam is not on. Okay, there's the high beam. Switch to high. Alright, I guess it's time to take it for a rip and see what it does. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I put the little GPS speedo on there to see how accurate this one was. So far, that one's fairly close. It says we're doing 21. That shows about 21, 22. Front brakes still need adjusted. Now that speedo's not accurate. It's going over 60. It's doing 37. I think I saw 52. Not too bad. Speedometer is not really accurate. It was pretty accurate until about 40. Then all of a sudden it jumped up, but then it dropped back down to 40. It got kind of close to accurate again, and so I don't know if that could be taken off and greased or WD-40. Maybe there's just some springs or something, but it's kind of close, but then not close. So I don't know. I really like these units on all my stuff anyway, rather than, you know, I feel like this gives me an accurate, more accurate reading than those do. So. All right, I'm gonna shut it down. Let's take a walk around it. Well, guys, there it is. And I'm going to admit, I'm pretty proud of this bike. I think it turned out actually pretty nice, pretty decent for what we started with. If you go back and watch the first videos, this thing was fairly rough. And it's still not pretty. I mean, it's kind of ugly, but it's extremely functional. Rides pretty nice. With that 110cc engine that I put in there, where's that little GPS? We hit 52.3 mile an hour. It might have a little bit more in it. So, like I said, pretty proud. I started calling this bike Balboa after Rocky Balboa. I was always a Rocky fan. You know, I knocked the crap out of this bike. I knocked it off the table. It broke. It bled. I had to cut it. And I never used a hammer or a cutoff wheel on a bike as much as I've ever used on this one. But in the end, look who's standing. And it doesn't look half bad. And like I said, it actually rode pretty nice. So what did I do? What did I change? What parts did I put on it? I have about $1,000 in this bike with the cost of the bike, with the brand new seat, brand new engine, Nibbi carb, the air cleaner. I had to put a headlight assembly in it. The bucket is original, but I had to put a headlight in it. That's just a used tail light. I did use the original bracket. I put some used tires on it. The rest of the assembly, the hubs are stock. I put a new chain on it. I put new foot pegs on it. We'll go around on the other side in a minute. New foot pegs kickstand. I put a Trail Buddy TB515 harness in it with a new key switch. And I put all new cables on it. Brake cables, speedometer cable. I put a new throttle assembly on it and got rid of the internal assembly. I covered all the black wiring with gray shrink wrap to try and get everything to match. The speedometer is not original, as you know. If you watch the video, it kind of works and it was kind of coming around. But, you know, it is what it is. I put a aftermarket exhaust on it, painted the inserts to make it look a little more stock. I think that's about everything I put on the bike. Oh, I put a new, that's the original horn button, but I put a new high-low switch on for the headlight. Okay, back to the foot pegs. So I put these foot pegs on it. They're good, they're bad, okay? They're good because they come out straight. They just come out straight, which puts the actual pad here lower than the stock ones, which makes your feet lower, which makes, you know, your knees aren't up in your chest as much, which is nice. So it rides a little more comfortable with these. But by putting this all lower, the brake pedal doesn't rotate up as far. It still is in a nice place for hitting the brake. It still works just fine. But because the pedal can't come up high enough, this piece can't rotate back far enough to reach this little doodad here that's part of the handbrake. And so as you can see, I had to add a little block here so that when you pull on the handbrake, it can reach that to push on it. Like I said, the foot brake would work fine, but without that, you run out, when you pull on the lever up on the handlebars, you run out of travel before this ever reaches and engages the brake. With this on here, it works just as it would, you know, stock. So just be aware of that. Why am I telling you all this? I need to move this bike along. I need to sell it, unfortunately. I've got this trip coming up where we're going to go around Lake Michigan. I'd like to get some funds back to fund some of the things I'm doing on that trip. Like I mentioned, I've got right at $1,000 with all that stuff that I told you I put on this bike. So you get the bike. I'm going to advertise it for $1,800. $1,800 is what I'd like to advertise this bike for. You get everything you see there. I've got all the original parts, the original engine, which, you know, kind of runs. I haven't really tinkered with it anymore. If you saw one of the videos, I broke the case here, but it's got an extra case. The original head, cylinder, piston, battery box, air cleaner, the side case for the engine, the original foot pegs, coil. It's got a really nice, K1 wiring harness that hasn't been chewed or damaged, really, I don't think. Yeah, I think it's in pretty good shape. I did get a hold of Mark from Honda Keys, and it has I did get 2 keys. They work the switch just fine. I never got them to unlock the helmet lock. I'm assuming this assembly is just rusted up, and this will turn, this will move, the little plunger that goes in and out, but I cannot get the key to turn, or the lock to turn with those keys. But they do work the ignition switch. And then this is all of the throttle, the grips and all the little pieces that are part of that internal throttle. So all that stays with the bike. Unfortunately, I do not have a title for it, so I can give you an Indiana bill of sale if you'd like, but I do not have a title. So if you're interested in this bike, hit me up. Like I said, $1,800. I've got $1,000 in it. Hit me up with an email. My email is ct70help@gmail.com. I'll put it up on the screen for you there. But hit me up with an email and let's talk. And I would love to move this to one of you guys that watch the videos. So anyway, guys, appreciate you following along. Have a great day. And I will see you on the next video. Thanks.